I was corrected a couple years ago, not Barossa. And what I want to cover today is what does it mean to have a 90 plus point wine? So 90 to 100. What I think it should mean. Okay, I had a lot of fun thinking about this tasting. I got a little philosophical and I had to kind of rein it in a little. I'm going to try and keep this to 20 minutes. And then what you do with it. So let's get started. And oh, by the way, everyone, if you've been to the previous tastings, you know you have to start drinking now. Otherwise, if not, my mother gets upset with me. So Nancy says drink. So go ahead and get your wines open. Start drinking, getting the palates warmed up, and let's start talking about this wine. So here we've got Thorn Clarke. It is actually named after a couple of I think their last name's Thorn, and then the maiden name is Clarke. I may have that mixed up, but you get the general idea there. But this wine you can see here on the label. If I don't know which way you like to look, you get a double whammy here. You get Barossa is where the wine is from. And then just below that, you'll see Shiraz. Shiraz is actually the grape. And just a side note, it is the same thing as Syrah. They are the same grape. Now, when we look at this wine label, you can't tell that it's a 90-plus point wine just from looking at the label. However, I tend to think that it gives us a couple clues that it might be going in that direction. And I know that's a lot to extrapolate from a wine label. I can only use the big words at the beginning of the tasting. So you might be able to extrapolate that this might have some potential. And the reason is because Barossa is a hot climate. Now, people from Barossa will say, oh, but we have altitude and we have some cool areas. And yes, they do. But in the world of wine, this is on the hot end of the spectrum. And so I'm going to ask you guys, because we've talked about wines that come from, say, hot regions versus cool regions. When a wine comes from a hot region, what can you expect on the wine? What kind of characteristics does it have? So let's see if anyone's gotten their fingers warmed up yet. I know that might be a tough one to put you on the spot for. But if you look at this label, I'll give you a clue, actually. It's not, I didn't take this picture after having too much wine. I purposely put it to the side so you could see the alcohol amount. And that's that small print. Now you have to get really close to your screen to see that. But that's one clue. Okay, so Susan mentioned high alcohol. For sure. Lots of alcohol, and then also fruit. When it's a hot climate, the grapes get really ripe. And when you have ripe grapes, you get a couple things. One is lots of fruit flavors, and then also lots of sugar. And so Susan hit the nail on the head with high alcohol, because if you're going to have a dry wine, and you ferment the wine, all of that sugar has to be alcohol. So if you have higher sugar, you're going to have higher alcohol. Okay, what does that have to do? Let's see, hi Susan, hi, so Douglas is on as well. Good to see everyone, guys. But so what does that have to do with 90-plus point wines? It's like, well, so it's from a hot region, and perhaps we could say it has a lot of fruit and high alcohol. But why am I saying that those tend to be 90-plus point wines?